board discussion, question?
Yes.
Ms. Cohen?
When did you obtain this property? When,
We had gotten it about a year and a half.
a year and a half ago?
Yes,
And so
close
you,
to a year and a half.
so you were aware of the conditions in which you were buying it
Yes, well,
and the zoning?
it is what it is. We saw we in harmony with the whole neighborhood, so we didn't figure it was no problem. We figure that you can build a building like any other, purchaser do. And so when we came to staff, we went through what we need to do.
I actually have a question for staff, Madam Chair. I just want clarity. When you started, Mr. LeBlanc, you mentioned that they've met 4 out of the 6 criteria, but I wasn't sure for which variance, and I wasn't sure which 2 they didn't meet.
No, they have to meet at least 4.
Okay, so they've met all of them
Yeah.
for both variances
Yeah.
per your analysis.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like,
So the criteria, they have to meet
Okay.
at least 4.
thank you. Any other discussion? Because I want to move. I will move to
Any other-
approve. Nope,
Second?
there it is.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, thank you.
Ms. Philippe,
Yes.
Ms. Fenelon,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Ms. Joseph,
Yes, jobs are good.
Thank
and
you.
Ms. Cohen.
Thanks,
Yes.
Good luck.
and happy New Year's to you all. We didn't get a chance to say it before because she was ill, this one was ill, that one was ill.
Well, thanks for answering the question. At least I know what you intend on putting in there. All right. They showed us last time when we couldn't All right, I think we have one last. Well,
Well,
I consider them
applicant.
one. Flanagan is up? Okay.
Did you bring a sample? Yeah.
We can't do that, Ms. Coleman. Okay. All right,
Okay.
V dash 16-14, Flanagan's Enterprises of North Miami, 13185-13205 Biscayne Boulevard, and they're also V dash 1714. And do we take them together or do we need to do it separately? And yes, he does need to be sworn in.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Separate?
They're very much related, but if we ought to take them separately. I don't think it's,
That's
it's
okay.
it's literally the same presentation, but we could, on the record, we can, address them separately. Thank you.
Okay, and we'll
Madam
start
Chair.
with V1614.
Yes, this application is for special exception to relocate the existing liquor package store in the C2BE district into a new building within the same property. The subject property is located on the east side of Biscayne Boulevard and consists of 3 parcels for a total of 60,000 square feet. The applicant Flanagan's Enterprise has been operating the existing combination Flanagan Seafood Bar and Grill restaurant and Big Daddy Liquor package store from 13205 Biscayne Boulevard since 1967. In December 2012, they purchased the 2 adjacent properties east of the existing business and now seeking to use the middle parcel as a parking lot, and they already using that as a parking lot, and construct a new building on the end parcel to relocate and operate the liquor package store as a standalone use. So The special exception approval is therefore being sought to allow that relocation to happen. So, again, this application is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, and under the LDR, it was reviewed in accordance with the standards set forth in Article 3, Division 5, Section 3-504 of the city's land development regulation. Again, those criteria are as listed. Whether or not the use is listed as a special exception in the district, where the property is located. Second, whether there's appropriate provision for access facilities adequate for the estimated traffic from public streets. Third, whether there are adequate parking area and off-street loading spaces. Fourth, whether or not there's suitable landscaping or fencing alongside lot and rear lot lines adjacent to residential uses. 5, whether the proposed special exception is reasonable in terms of logical, efficient, and economic extension of public services and facilities. And finally, whether the proposed special exception will constitute an appropriate use in the area and will not injure or detract from the use of the surrounding property. The first one, under Article 4, Division 3, Section 4-303 of the LDR, a liquor package store are listed special exception uses. So the use is a listed special exception in the district. Whether or not there's appropriate provision for access facilities. Yes, the special exception use request involves the relocation of an existing liquor package store into a new building that is proposed to be built on an adjacent parcel under the same ownership. That parcel was previously developed as a restaurant, which represented a much more intense use than the proposed liquor package store. Therefore, the proposed use will have a de minimis impact on traffic circulation on Biscayne Boulevard and will not generate any additional trips. Additionally, the combined parcel, which will now be master developed, will provide safe and adequate vehicular access to Biscayne Boulevard and will not have any substantial impact on public safety due to unsafe traffic movements, heightened pedestrian vehicular conflicts, or increased risk of fire. It shall also be noted that the proposed redevelopment of the site is simultaneously going through the DRC approval process. As such, all concurrency determinations are being finalized through this process to ensure strict compliance with the requirements of the LDRs as they pertain to bulk, massing, placement, landscaping, design, sustainability, and lighting, as well as with the requirement of the city's public works department, of the police department, and all other from county and or state agencies. Whether or not there are adequate parking areas and off-street truck loading spaces. Yes, the expanded restaurant will have a footprint of 6,686 square feet, and the proposed liquor store, 2,450 square feet. As such, they are required to provide a total of 45 parking spaces for the restaurant and 9 for the liquor package store. The submitted plans show a total of 85 parking spaces will be provided, excluding the bicycle racks that the applicant has been made aware to provide to the DRC review process. As such, adequate parking will be provided on site, which will safely and conveniently accommodate the parking needs of all the users on the 3 parcels. Is there suitable landscaping or fencing along lot lines adjacent to residential zoning district? Lush landscaping will be provided throughout and around the perimeter of the site, which will not only buffer the uses from the residential condominiums to the rear, but also provide much aesthetic appeal to the proposed development, especially along a commercial corridor such as Biscayne Boulevard. Is the proposed special exception reasonable in terms of logical, efficient, and economical extension of public services? All basic public services, such as public water, sewers, police, and fire protection, are readily available and provided to the property. They met all applicable level of service standards is set forth in the comprehensive plan. No increase in the demand of such services will result from the establishment of the proposed use. Will the proposed special exception constitute an appropriate use in the area? Yes, the answer is yes. Liquor package stores are not used that are prohibited in the LDR. They are used that are deemed to be generally unsuitable for location in such district, but may be permitted on a case-by-case basis if after review and possible attachment of condition. Yeah. Additionally, said uses must comply with the distance separation requirements of alcoholic beverage establishments from schools, houses of worship, city parks, and recreational areas, residential uses, and similar uses as set forth in Chapter 3, Section 3-11 of the LDR. The requested special exception is to relocate the liquor package store into a standalone building within the same property. It's basically they're splitting the two use instead of having the combination restaurant and liquor store. As such, this special exception will not amount to any additional burden on the existing public infrastructure and services, and will have technically the same distance separation from the uses listed in Chapter 3, Section 3-11 as the existing liquor package store that is currently there. As such, it will clearly constitute an appropriate use for the area involved. Additionally, the proposed building will be using sustainable green building standards and will feature an architectural style that will be in harmony with the general appearance and character of Biscayne Boulevard corridor. Based on the foregoing, staff has made the recommendation to approve the special exception request, subject to the following conditions: that the applicant agrees to abide by the special exception criteria, that a building permit be applied for within 18 months of approval of the site plan by the DRC members, that a certificate of occupancy from the building and minimum housing department be only issued upon compliance with all terms and conditions of this approval, that the use comply with all applicable requirements of the city's public works department, police, and all other county and state agencies, and that a certificate of use from the community planning and development department be only issued upon compliance with all terms and conditions of this approval. This concludes staff recommendation, and the applicant is here. I don't know if the chair wants to entertain the second item before.
Well, we're gonna do them one at a time, so.
This actually would require approval before we move on to the next item, or you would be literally moot.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, staff. Thank you for hearing me out. My name is Brian Zambrano, owner, president of Zambrano Associates, the architect. I'm also here representing Flanagan's as well, Enterprises, and all their subsidiaries. The project,
Business address for the record?
I'm sorry, 1107 Sussex Drive, North Lauderdale, Florida, 33068. This is an exciting day for Flanagan's because we've been waiting to purchase these lots for years. As you know, it's been around since '67. It originally was a liquor store, package store without a restaurant in '67. We converted that into a restaurant about 15 years after that. Since then, the community has loved the restaurant. It expanded, and if you know the restaurant, it is always at capacity. People love it. We hold a pretty strong standing in the community and with our patrons, and the company really respects that. We want to, we want to continue that. We do things. We always look at our customers, and so with this, we wanted to be able to supply our customers. More parking was one of the reasons. We've always been short on parking since we first started. That was the number one reason. So bringing this project in, we saw that there was an opportunity to take the package store out and be able to expand the restaurant because we needed more seating, we needed more parking, and we want to renovate. And we also want to help beautify not only our existing building, which again is in the standards of 1967. You can tell it's a white brick building. We wanted to build a new liquor store so that we can move that package store out, expand our wine, because our demographics are all based on numbers. People in our area are more wine, more craft beer. Our current facility is only 1,200 square feet. It can't handle anything more than what it's already doing anyways. So we're expanding for a more sophisticated inventory. With that in mind, that's where the new that's the size increment for the new liquor store. And as for the look of what we're doing, we're very invested in this. As you can tell, we've been here for a number of years. We plan to be here for a number of years more. So we're working with staff to make sure that we satisfy as many criteria as we possibly can do. The use variance is what I think we're talking about right now, correct? The special exemption. And we feel that the special exemption sorry, it's a special exception. Should be granted in the sense that we've been there for a number of years. We have a good standing. The police department can also say, I guess, give us a good note of approval because we don't make a lot of trouble. We make sure that we keep our place clean. We don't allow loitering or any of this, any issues to happen to our community. And so we feel that moving it down, 125 feet to the south shouldn't be too much of an issue, and we'll continue our same diligence of being a upstanding business in the community.
Well, thank you.
Sure.
Anyone for or against this item?
Good evening, Carol Prager, 2509 Northeast 135th Street. This is in my neighborhood. I've lived in Arch Creek East for 27 years, and for 27 years I have frequented this restaurant. As a matter of fact, you said 1967. I'm going to date myself here. In the late 60s, early 70s, I used to go-go dance with Rick Shaw and WQAM
Wow.
on the docks outside this place. In the early to mid 70s, no, I take that mid 70s to late 70s, my husband used to go to this Flanagan's when they were spinning disco music with DJs to promote his records with Atlantic Records. In 1982, my daughter was born, and I remembered going to this restaurant when my daughter was little and in an infant chair. In 1986, my son was born. And to this day, he's 27 years old. To this day, he says there are no better ribs in the world than at Flanagan's. They have at the tables these little cards that you play.
Like Trivial Pursuit.
Trivial
and-
Pursuit. You can't get in there a lot of times. It's become so popular. It's a 20, 25, 35-minute wait. I've been there at 6 o'clock in the evening. It's been terrific. I've been there at 10 o'clock at night. I've been there very late at night before closing. It's always been safe. Parking is a major issue. People don't care. They put up with it because they just want to get into this restaurant and eat this wonderful food. It's like a Cheers, if you would allow me that analogy. This is so wonderful. What's surrounding this Flanagan's right now is awful. There are two empty, derelict restaurants. This might spur somebody else coming in and, buying those properties and putting something else in too. So I am 110%, as you can tell, behind this. I hope very much that you approve this. Thank you.
Good evening again. Kevin Burns, 2065 Alamanda Drive. Flanagan's has been here since the beginning of time, you might say, for North Miami. I, as a kid, remember when that was a motorcycle shop that it was originally built for. Flanagan's started, or Big Daddy started in North Miami. So they have roots in this community. The owners of Flanagan's bought two buildings next door. One was the old Chinese restaurant, garden restaurant that was an eyesore for years. Tore it down and made additional parking, which is great. They bought the other, last existence was the cafe when it became available. And it's exciting to see that they have been here for so long. They've been good to the community. They've been good to organizations that have reached out to them. Plus, they provide really great food. And I too, Carol, when disco was the thing, spent many of the nights in that place when it used to be open to 5 a.m. And I have to say that I spent a lot of time as a kid there because my mother used to work for that company when they first started. And for 20 years, she worked behind the bar at that particular restaurant when it was just a bar and the package store. And then when it turned into a discotheque, she had to leave because she couldn't quite figure that all out. But it's a good company. It's been good to North Miami. Great food, no problems. They hire off-duty police officers all the time. And again, you're not changing the usage, you're just moving it around, improving the neighborhood, adding great landscaping, and just really great. I just hope you guys would do more outdoor seating like you have in Surfside, but that's the only thing I'd push for them. But again, this is something that's going to be amazing for the boulevard, and look forward to watching the expansion and the great improvements. Thank you very much.
All right, public hearing is now closed. Board discussion?
I do, Mr. Burns, former Mayor Burns, mentioned about the outside seating, and I'm just wondering, is that something that can actually be a condition? No?
We can't.
I mean, through the development review process for the restaurant, we can add that. But we already discussed that with the applicant, but this item before you now is
They're
for the
proposing
liquor
it, yeah.
package store,
Right.
not the restaurant per se. But that's something we can look at,
But I
With
think it's on
Brian.
their plan.
It's on their plan.
Yeah.
No, I mean, no, that's for the restaurant,
I know.
Right.
Oh, yeah, but I think that's what Ms. Fenelon is referring to. But anyway, let's just take what the item is,
No problem.
which is,
No, but we can,
the
through the
use.
DRC process.
okay. Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
move to approve?
Oh, I actually have a question for the applicant. I thought you were going to speak.
Go ahead.
A very important question for you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let me turn on my mic so I can ask it. What impact, if any, will this special exception have on your ribs?
Absolutely nothing. They will always be good.
Maybe it'd make them better?
Actually, if we get more popular, we'll probably just get thicker and better ribs. Who knows?
Okay, so we do have a motion, seconded by Ms. Joseph. Roll call, please.
Ms. Philippe,
Yes.
Ms. Fenelon,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Ms. Joseph,
Yes, and I'm now officially hungry.
and Ms. Cohen.
Yes.
We should all go over the plan.
And next one, same applicant, F17-14. And Mr. LeBlanc, be brief in this one?
Yes. This is the same applicant, also apply for variance to Article 5, Division 8, Section 5-804E, subparagraph 1 of the LDR to allow the proposed building to have a front setback of 71 feet where no front setbacks are permitted. And also to Article 4, Division 3, Section 4-303 of the LDR to allow said building with a lot coverage of 82.5% instead of the maximum lot coverage of 80% set for in the LDR for development permit in the C2BE commercial districts. Those variances were reviewed on the standard set for in Article 3, Division 6, Section 3-606, dealing with the front setback of 71 feet where no front setbacks. This requirement stems from the design section, not the underlying, is development standard set forth in section Article 4, Section -4303, as mentioned earlier. So this is to allow the building to provide like a presence on the street to bring the building closer to the street, especially on those major corridors. This is what for newer developments, the staff been promoting that, because that's part of the design to have the more urban, look to generate traffic, especially pedestrian traffic. But given the type of use that the applicant is proposing, this is that of a liquor package store, And then we have reviewed that request on the criteria of Article 3, Division 6, Section 3-6, and we have found that it met, at least 4 of the 6 criteria. And especially, as mentioned, this having a 71-foot setback will allow the development to have the parking in the front in proximity to the street, which will conform to SEPTED, which is, a crime prevention, to environmental design principles, and provide a sense of safety. Because this is really a liquor package. It's not like a restaurant or any other office use where we want the building, closer to the street. But you rather have, the parking in front of the building. So, I mean, and we understand, this use has never had any problem with the city because they have off-duty police officers. But yet, it's still a liquor package. So, and we don't want to have any sort of, parking in the back. Having the parking in the front of the building would be more suitable in giving the type of business involved. And then, most of the other criteria, are met. And then, staff has made a recommendation for approval of this variance. For the other variance, for the maximum lot coverage, I mean, there are a lot of circumstances that necessitate, that the granting of that variance. Indeed, the site has some special conditions that make it impossible to provide the full 12,000 square feet of, landscaping and permeable surfaces required by the LDR. And with my conversation with the applicant and Mr. Brian Zambrano here present tonight, the site is adjacent to an existing facility with a retention wall that eliminates 150 linear feet of landscaping. And then there's also a significant drop in grade that would cause greater water runoff onto the adjacent property if it were to alter to meet the lot coverage open space requirement. So therefore, we feel those are special conditions that would trigger the granting of that variance. And also, the fact that the application is going through the DRC process, there's so many other conditions that will be imposed on this development that would otherwise mitigate, that shortage, in landscaping. And then also the applicant is proposing a building that would incorporate sustainable green building principle. So therefore, that will still reduce the carbon footprint of that building, even though it doesn't meet all the lot coverage, a landscape, a open space requirement. But there will be, lush landscaping that will be provided. And if the site were not to accommodate, all the trees that are required, and there's also a mechanism in the city's LDR that would allow the applicant to make a donation in lieu of planting those trees on the property. So that which will further increase, the tree canopy in the city. So based on this foregoing, we feel that this variance is really minimal, and then and staff has made a recommendation, to the board to approve on these 2 variances.
Thank you, Mr. LeBron. Anything else you would like to add to this?
No, Mr. LeBron, he stated very clearly what we're doing. I do want to add one other thing, in the sense that one of the issues that we had for the 71 feet required versus the 15 that is asked for, you're right, it's basically about safety. It's 100 clearly about safety. A liquor store, and we have multiple of them, so we know how to run this business over a number of years. Clear visibility to the public, well-lit and spacious areas, like parking right in front. Customers constantly come in, they use the first 3 parking spaces. It's very common in a liquor store, they last 5 minutes. That movement allows for the front to stay clear and open, no loitering, no none of that, and it pushes miscreants from trying to hang out there. And we look at that as part of what keeps us as a good liquor store and a safe liquor store. Our staff is constantly vigilant, but also the way we design our liquor stores is so that we have the visibility and our public has the visibility. People who are doing bad don't want to be seen. That's one of the reasons why we like to have that open space in the front. The other reason we want to eliminate that front setback, the building's only 2,450 square feet. By moving it forward, we increase the amount of exposure in the rear that is not being used. We could always put parking spaces, but based on what we've seen in the community, one of the examples is the Wendy's that's down south of us. I don't know if anyone's know. I mean, we look at what people have done. They follow the rule, but they didn't have any use for the rear. People, we got homeless sleeping there in the evening, miscreants hanging out, smoking, and doing other stuff. So from our experiences, we don't want to open those opportunities for those damaging individuals to hurt our image, but also to hurt the community. That's one of the main reasons. Now, we do know the intent for the 15-foot is for that it has a public space. It's, the intent was for the intent is for a public area, a place of people can sit down or just mingle and have that boulevard interchange. What we had proposed is we weren't going to do anything to the front of the restaurant. Currently, the front of the restaurant has 6 parking spaces, 3 and 3, parallel to the building, or perpendicular to the building, I'm sorry. We were going to take that and give that and turn that into a public space with benches, and we're even proposing 2 pieces of public art that we'll commission and put in. Currently, Mr. Flanagan, he'd like to introduce, I think it's, here, I could actually, I can show you on the board, 1 second. What we'd like to propose is that we'll give you the intent of what that rule is for, but we'll do it on the restaurant where it's a use that actually makes sense for the public space. So no, it's not outside seating, but it is public space that will allow us to have places where people in the public can sit, walk the sidewalk, take a rest. There'll be benches out there. We're also going to put 2 pieces of artwork that we'd like to do. On the bottom, you can see some of the fish. Since we are a seafood type of place, we like to use Kingfish Mounts, which is a company that does custom fiberglass fishing and hand-painted pieces where they kind of represent the fishes of the ocean, which is what our image is. And so we like to do 2 sculptural pieces there. And so that also allows us to give us a new frontage for the building, which, again, it is a dated building. The front of that is a storefront. It's got that white brick. We're proposing changing the building to have 5 sets of French doors, open air front eating area, which will now no longer be the liquor store again, will be the new restaurant, expanded, and bringing that and its little boardwalk or the front walkway and this public space all as one space with landscaping and everything, beautifying the building than what it is now. And that's what we'd like to do as a compensation for allowing us with the variance of the liquor store.
Before I open public
Yes.
hearing, I just have a question. Are the hours, now that the liquor store is no longer attached, will be standalone, will the hours remain the same?
Yes, yes. Well, actually, currently the hours are the liquor store closes before the restaurant closes, and we'll maintain the exact same hours because we're tuned
For
to
both?
for both. The restaurant will stay its same hours as the restaurant, and the liquor store, even in the new building, will maintain the same hours as it is currently in its space.
Anyone for or against, if you're through?
Yeah, I guess that's it.
Not meaning to rush.
No, no, sorry. Just one.
Good evening again, Kevin Burns, 2065 Alameda Drive. And just for the record, I want to put on that there was public support for this. That's why I got up to speak again. But also, the amount of landscaping they're putting in now, even though they lack technically 2%, it's quadruple, if not more, than what's existing or has been existing for the last 30, 40 years, not just with their building, but the 2 buildings next door that were there for many, many years. We're getting so much more new landscaping with this plan than we've ever had existing now. That's even better than some of the newest buildings on Biscayne Boulevard, and look forward to it. And it's a great buffer. And I think you guys should approve it. Thank you.
Carol Prager, 2509 Northeast 135 Street. Ms. Joseph, this will create jobs as well. The expansion of the restaurant and the expansion of the package store. Package stores get kind of a bad rap. I get it. But right now, if you want to go buy premium wine or a craft beer, you have to drive to Total Wine. And Total Wine is in North Miami Beach. So I'd rather spend my money in North Miami, and I'd like to create jobs for North Miami residents. So I would hope that when you take applications for the additional employees that you will need for this, that they be residents of North Miami. And I don't know if you can make that a condition, but hey.
All right. Okay, any board discussion?
Okay.
I did want to express an interest, not necessarily making all of the employees residents of the city of North Miami, but to really seriously consider setting aside a certain percentage to, I don't want to be restrictive because I want to encourage you guys to have free reign to do whatever you need to do, but to definitely make it a preference or consider something. That's something you can work out with your HR department for North Miami residents. So I just want to strongly encourage that.
Sure, absolutely. We'll definitely take that in consideration. Just to let you know, in the way we hire at Flanagan's, we have a corporate location in Fort Lauderdale where all applicants have to apply. But when we select our staff has to be within a certain radius of the facility. We don't allow for, the closer you are, the more likely you make it to work. So we actually, naturally, based on the way we hire, we do encourage local hiring.
Right. I guess let me be more
But,
specific
yeah.
because the radius, that could encompass lots of surrounding cities that aren't necessarily North Miami residents. So I'm just
Yes,
trying to say
yeah.
specifically to consider something, but not necessarily to make it a condition,
Sure.
but to seriously consider it.
We will definitely put that as on our on the top if that's something we would like to see. Absolutely.
Perfect.
I think your current staff right now.
A lot of us are from North Miami.
Yeah.
A lot of us already, and they've been working there for years, a lot of them too. Staff in the kitchen specifically, I want to say almost 100% North Miami residents working there for a number of years. But yes, we will definitely maintain that.
One more question. I know that for the new building, you're planning to make it more sophisticated in terms of your offerings.
Yes.
And what generally would that entail for you?
Well, what it is that when we were doing our market research, again, Total Wines, was a good example. Our wine selections in the area are very limited based on sizes and who's out there. We can then increase our exposure for the number of vineyards and types of labels of wine, Napa, French, whatever, when it comes to wine. And also the increase of craft beer, which has become extremely popular, and there's very little exposure of that product in also in that area of North Miami. So we're going to be bringing in those two more specialty type of products. And it seems like that's what the public has been asking for.
Awesome.
Do I have a motion?
Well, wait a minute, I want to say something. Nixon, this wouldn't fall as far as I was going to follow. She and I were thinking the same thing. Would this fall under our local preference ordinance? It wouldn't, would it?
7-151 local preference ordinance is really a tool that's used in the procurement process and selection of contractors. But I think there's a good faith effort on the part of this board desiring such continued or increased local preference in hiring. And I believe that you acquiesced to the best of your abilities to that.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
we can put a letter of intent if that's what's asked, that
Okay.
we'll maintain we'll actually put in a percentage that will say, this is what we'll hire from North Miami.
Oh, that would be.
That
We
would
can
not
definitely
hurt.
put
It
that
would
in.
not hurt your endeavors.
It won't hurt our endeavors.
Thank you.
Much
And,
appreciated.
And I've only heard two criticisms of Flanagan's. The first one is your store isn't big enough, and the second one is you're not open late enough. The first, at least one of them you've taken care of.
Yes.
Sounds
And Madam Chairperson, unless there's something else, I'd like to move approval.
Second.
Okay, nothing else. Roll call, please.
Ms. Philippe?
Yes.
Ms. Fenelon?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Ms. Joseph?
Yes.
And Ms. Cohen?
Yes.
Good luck, you've been approved. And
Congratulations.
Alright,
will
we're
the
all good?
restaurant be closed for a particular time?
No,
Why do you
no, we
close
made that
it?
very clear. The way we're doing the expansion will be that we're going to be doing it in phases. The restaurant gets expanded in the rear, but we're going to keep it open because no one would ever allow us to close.
Very
That's
good.
a-
All right.
Thank you very much,
you.
ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Any old business? You sure? None? Because I see none written, but.
I'll go over with you.
Okay. Any new business besides our two new members? Any new business? Okay. Did you make it? Are you trying to? Okay,
We could,
so
we
that
could deal
we
with the
don't
freshness
miss.
after adjournment.
No, we had Mr. LeBrun's counterpart before, used to make us
Chocolate
delicious
brownies.
brownies
Yeah,
and
how
cookies.
brownies,
She gives them
Yeah.
brownies and stuff. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay, so do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
I'll move it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
And does that mean that we will be meeting, and I'm sorry, we've already, but we'll be meeting in March?
Yeah, most likely.
We,
don't have anything before February.
okay.
Good.
Because we used to do, it's every two,
Every 2 weeks, yeah.
Every-
Every 2 months.
Oh,
Don't worry.
I was like every 2 weeks. Nobody told me that.
okay.
Perfect. That
Okay.
means you need to like start shaking some trees or something. We need some more development, dude. Not that I want to be